Welcome. This is Crime Queen. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we ignite that which dwells from within us, that which comes alive, makes us smile. Hence, we say the crimson light is life. So, the crimson light is my personal journey of actualizing self full love. Like many other people, but they call it different names. I'm hoping it's the same, of course, but I hope it becomes yours too. However, on this channel, we are occupied with words and numbers, numerology to be precise, and to see how words and numbers interplay together and how they impact our lives, to see how we can become aware of their nature, their structure in our beings, and make hopefully become better expression or versions of ourselves. Okay, so far I have done two exercises on the word sacrifice, which derive, of course, from other exercises I was doing with just asking the question, I wonder how many words I can get from the word sacrifice. And of course, 22 words were birthed in that exercise of trying to find out how many words were in that sacrifice. And isn't it extraordinary, or I think really amazing, I would say, that 22 words were birthed from one word that we would probably not have thought about really embedded in one word. It's like the mother of words just birthed all these 42. Now 22 words. Now 22, as we have learned, is a master number, and 22 also equals the word master. And I found that very intriguing too. And that revelation also, as I have said in previous presentations, also um, derives from Luke chapter 22. Hmm. So I am intrigued about these um, synchronicities, should we say, coincidences, some might call it. But there we are. Of course, I think I would say synchronicities because I was just really on this master frequency, and it led me on to all of this with Jesus, the name Jesus being totally into 11, which is a master number, and of course, one and one becomes two. So I have been exploring these numbers because I get very excited about them. Yeah. So talking of the excitement with these numbers, let's um, explore sacrifice a bit more. Explore sacrifice a bit more. Well, I suppose I am poetic. It comes out here. Okay. So the one and one is two, coming from this two column, which I term, of course, bucket or basket, which also reflects in Jesus Christ's teachings, miracles, and um, the Passover, to be precise, where we call it of bread and wine or the Last Supper, but the name Jesus actually is 11. Okay, let's do this. Jesus. So that is 15131. So that's 1, 5, 6, 7, and 3, 10, and 1, 11. We've got this. Okay. So, so we can see here, like I have pointed out before, that I felt no need intuitively to change these letters here. These letters will unchanged on this side of the spectrum of numbers 1 to 4. And, and also the letter M, which equals 4, of course. So we are seeing a pattern in this, a pattern is evolving or developing here, as I have the word development. Okay. So as I have mentioned, these 22 words on the exercise I done equals 4. And 4 here is also 4 is also showing that it is the last number before this 5, which shows Jesus Christ number, because the word, sorry, Christ equals number 5. The word Christ equals number 5, and this is new. And we've covered this before. This is when you are in Christ, according to the scriptures, you are a new creature. The creature we have covered is the fox. I have turned this X here as the cross because I believe that it really means our whole structure, north, south, east, west, which really takes its place within our own structure. So it's north, south, east, and we don't have to change the west. Hey, it's already west. I suppose there is a message that something special about the West here when the sun rises from the east, of course, and sets in the west. Okay, all right, we'll see how that develops. But what was intriguing as well that I felt with this 1 to 4, when we add 1 to 4, it equals 10. I have covered that in that last presentation. But 10 also, what I felt was necessary to mention is that 10 also seemed to show the characteristics of man. Oh, there's the word man. Let's say man, man. So actually, oh, this is interesting. Okay, so 4, 1, and 5 equals 10. This is exactly the point I am trying to make here. So basically, we are saying that here from 1 to 4, this is the man that Christ had come to die for. And before we can get or acknowledge, I love to say acknowledge the Christ spirit within us, where you become a new creature. The new thing is really the new realization, the new awareness, the new consciousness. Because I believe the Christ spirit has always been with us. It's just that we have not been aware. And so, even to substantiate what I'm trying to say, it would have seemed so that even from the Old Testament, where of course it was there were um, the sacrificial ceremonies were always there throughout, but it was said that Christ was the last one, because it's as if until mankind um, didn't really see a reflection of that sacrifice in themselves, they would not really understand, or it's not expected to be understood, because we have a different um, empathy or understanding towards ourselves, because we are mirrors of ourselves. So if you were to say to me, you've got a headache, I probably would understand what a headache means, because I have that understanding of what it's like to have a headache, because we are mirroring each other. And I believe that the Christ spirit, in that sense, which was the suffering, it's suffering, it's a shedding of blood and pain and all of those things um, that was performed. And so we are seeing that hence it is said that that's the last sacrifice to save man. So man here, let's get back to this, is actually showing, oh, this is beautiful the way this is done actually. So it's the number 4 which I am talking about, and we have one which is reflected from the start. It's as if something, that consciousness of presence comes about, is reflecting, it's carrying with it that number 1 till we get to that number 5 being in Christ. So of course, this is really wonderful. So, as I spoke about mirror again, so it's number 4 here, but we see that there is 1, and we could say that that 4 and that 1 is being mirrored right here. Right here is that mirroring till we get into that man spirit. So that man and Christ spirit, there is the exact mirroring again, or this exact frequency. So it's like Christ is really reflecting that new spirit where we can see or associate that new spirit. Okay, so that's one aspect of what I'm trying to say here, because that was really calling at me and saying, yo, I need to really explore that. We also know that Christ said he came for the sinners, to set the sinners, set them free. Okay. But the word sinner, I don't know if it said sinner or sinners. Okay, but it comes to number 8. Because I really believe from that King James Version lies the secret of the numbers, not so much those other versions that have been translated. Perhaps they've been deliberately translated to keep certain things at bay, but that's the version I really like. Okay, and so the word sinners is 8. And so, as I have covered in my other presentations, we see that number 8 is reflected here in the high quarters. Like I have been saying, it's like the sinners now. We recognize that we are the sinners, but we are also able to get into high quarters because we are also sinner and saint all in one. All in one here, we recognize those two different aspects of our being, of our makeup. Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out in the word sacrifice, it's also 9 numbers, 9 letters. I deal with numbers and letters, and I sometimes refer to letters as numbers. I suppose they are the same thing, one and the same. Okay, so sacrifice, the word sacrifice is here. And I also spotted something else. I hope you can see this sacrifice. Okay, so I also saw that it entails 9 letters, and I thought, okay, I would have that bracket of letters like we did with the numbers. So there are 3 and 1 is okay. So in essence, we have sack, we have rif, R-I-F, and we have ice. Like I said, I thought ice was very cold. The whole word sacrifice really shows a cold event. It's a coldness to it. And we have the word safe. I suppose that helps us to um, hope for that safety. It ensures us of there's a degree of safety in sacrifice, in that coldness, that iceness. A reef. There entailed a reef to have a sacrifice. There is a pulling apart. It's like a getting away. It's like, and here the 10 is reflective of that reef. So there is the 1 and the 0, which is showing a distinction between the aspects of that number 9. It is showing, I say, a distinction between the aspects of number 9 because I have showed how I believe that 10 is constructed because numerology we have from 1 to 9, but really 8 is the number of infinity, meaning it's where you have that full cycle of circle. It is a circle, and I look at it as a twisted rubber band that forms just or any circle that you were to twist it, but there is no breakage in there. But 9 is really wanting to show. It's like it was a sperm, ready to grow. It's a new cycle. This is the new era with the 9. So 9 is really like breaking from that 8 and really going into that new cycle. It's like so it's breaking and it's saying, hey, it's hey, but it's a 0. That's the aspect of it. It's like a top or bottom part. Perhaps in Christ's story, it would have been where he leaves heaven and is coming down to earth. So that part, because he's whole and pure and all of that, but it's like shooting to earth, shooting to the in hell, in the grave, in taking on the sinners, taking on the sins, being prosecuted, all of that on earth. Okay, so we on earth. So we see that 9 is a construct of where that wholeness is touching onto that one hair. So it's really, if we did that, 8, it's like imagining these two things are touching together, 1 and that 0. This is where we have 9. So in that development of going through the 4 seasons, the 4 cycles, the 4 elements, going through that stage of that development where Christ have taken that on board, there is where that 10, it's like it's taken that, it's attached to the 1, and then it detaches again. It detaches again. So you have 10. So it's really like the 1 would have been here, and there is the mirror again. It's the mirroring of these two. So 1, you could imagine this on a cycle, and they're kissing each other here. They are actually so close. And because, of course, that curve, that cycle needs for Earth to have a sense of stability, a sense of uh, pitching itself on Earth, if you like, it is showing now. It's that, instead of it was circle rolling downhill or whatever it is, it's pitched itself. It's standing strong. It's ready to start its new beginning. This is 9. It has finished one cycle and it's in the other cycle, but the two are intertwined. And so it's like when we, of course, let's take 9 months that a mother gives birth to a child. She has given birth to the child, but also because 9 is really, you could say, the part of where the mother and child is one, and then you have the mother being okay, the child is in the crib, and that mother and stands the mother. So there is that connection. So Mother and child, mother has given birth and she holds on to her child. So there is the giving birth in that number 9. She holds on to her child. And this one was the number of conception. That is number 1, conception. And number 2 is she's given birth and she's holding on to that child. But there comes a time as well where there's another new era that's okay, child is still there and mother is still there, but there is a degree of distinction. You can now say that there's the mother and there's the child. And you can use that analogy in all polarities or in all opposites. So, hey, that's my understanding of number 10. So it's interesting that number 10 shows these polarities, and it would also, I have come across that it also is the number in numerology, like when I spell out the words, because that's how I do numerology here, Satan, because when I say that's how I do it, that's how the system is. So it's for Satan. Let's take for instance, this is the point I'm trying to make here. Satan. We have 1 for S, 1, 1, 2, 1, 5. 1, 1, 2, 1, 5. So this is 1, 2, 2 and 2, 4 and 1, 5, 5 and 5, 10. Now, this is also the number for Satan. There is much more to cover from this subject, this topic, because it reminds me of a text where it is said that Christ was either going to pray and Satan went in him. I think it is said that when Satan said, well, if you are the Son of God, but don't quote me on this exact whole text now, but this is, I'm sure I saw that part where it is said, and Satan went in him. So went in him is another area that I'm going to explore for another presentation, because this is really intriguing. So perhaps we have devised a different meaning to Satan, or perhaps this is really to show us the true characteristics of what Satan is. And of course, in Christianity, isn't that why it is said we are sinners? I'm not quite sure yet what sense to make of this right now, but I'm going to go along investigating this much further, of course. So I'm just saying I suppose looking at this now, it would mean that, of course, Satan has taken or has had, oh, okay, Satan has had hold of man from 1 to 4, because 10 is reflected here. Before he comes a new creature in Christ, he is with Satan. Isn't this delicious? Just spot that. So before he is a new creature in Christ, and he is man, of course, man also is the number 10. So man and Satan, is there any difference? Oh, I don't know. Let's just do the man again, because this is really interesting. This is lovely. Okay. So Satan is 10. Sacrifice is 10. Satan is 10. Sacrifice is 10. Okay. And man is 10. So 4, 1, 5. Okay. Equals 10. Wow. Perhaps we should conclude on this. And it's, as I say, it's nice to see how the 4 and the 6 comes together. 4 and the 6. So Christ is in the middle. So perhaps we could conclude that the exact term, like Emmett Fox says, nothing can come into your consciousness until you find something like itself on which to attach itself to, something to that effect, which I really like, because that was like really life changing for me. So with that learning, it's as if everything needs to have the exact frequency or vibration to bring about change. It's as if you need to have that equation. And so for sinners, it would seem like the word sacrifice would need to be in direct correlation, equation for us to be saved as sinners from 8. So basically, it's that which is from 8 sinners. We had 8 for sinners. So we are sinner, and it's to go through that other cycle again. So whenever we are going through a new cycle, it's as if it is really beckoning a change, a sacrifice. And I'm going to just conclude that if we pay attention, we may see that it is the pattern, or it is a pattern, because I believe there may be other ways, but it is really a pattern that works for us as mankind. That every time we are about change, every time we are about doing something new, we get to the point of going back to the Christ spirit, finding that sense of judgment or balance, I should say, that alignment to be able to go into that other dimension with the fox, with gypsy, with headquarters, and the inland revenue. It is thus requiring us to go through this. It's as if we can't really continue this path without the Christ Spirit, which takes us into this number 10. But the word sacrifice really it's just really an amazing word. And of course, I really want to explore this a little bit further, but I'll just do a short a short one. I promise I'll do a short one on that sacrifice again. How I have just broken the categories in three letters, and see what numbers that we can get through that. Okay, so I hope you have found this interesting. I hope you have found this fun. If you have enjoyed this presentation, do click the like button and share, because this is how we do it. We share to actualize self love, because this is all about actualizing self love. In the meantime, stay bright, stay ignited. Namaste.